Hey everybody, this is Joey at Boomtown. Happy afternoon. Just going to give it about another minute here and let some more people trickle in. But thank you for joining. Typically a lighter session in the afternoon, so we'll keep it to about 30 minutes. That seems to be what the morning session went to. We'll get started here in just about another 30 seconds. Right. Looks like we can get started. So thanks a lot, guys. We had a great session this morning. Really excited about this afternoon. Hope everybody's having a good March so far. And then, yeah, let's get started here. As you know, these Poynt webinars, they are mostly focused around basically, new updates, third-party applications, kind of the new features on Poynt. If your team does need a sales training or an operations training, or feels like you have some limitations within the reseller basically program, feel free to reach out to pointsales@goboomtown.com. Happy to help out and happy to assist in any way that we possibly can. Here's a kind of an agenda for what we're going to go over today. Really excited to show offline payments in the native software of Poynt. We have a guest speaker from UpConnect, and we're going to go over the surcharge application and then the cash discount application. Also, a quick preview of SpacePoll, which is kind of hardware stands for Poynt. They basically, they were going to be on this webinar, but we're going to push back until April, just because they're going to get their marketing a little bit more in order. I do have a preview of what that's going to look like today. And of course, during the webinar, feel free to ask questions. You can always write in questions. If I don't get to the question, or if it's a little too controversial to say over the webinar, I'll just email you. And again, you can always email pointsales@goboomtown.com. Our sales hub is available to all of our resellers. In here, you have updates, sales content, these webinars, everything's recorded, the decks that we go over during these webinars as well, all the third-party apps. We have basically a one-pager for each third-party app. If it's a complex third-party app like Calic or Manglement, we basically just refer you to their reseller hub, and that provides more information. All right, let me see here. And then again, just a great reminder, and feel free, let me know if you guys, my screen says the connections have been a little choppy today, but just a reminder that you can text help to 22666. That's your merchant. As long as they're boarded, they can text and they don't need to really be verified. If we don't know the number, we will verify who they are. That's a great solution for 24/7 support. Your merchants also get access to Connect, basically built by Boomtown. It's white labeled, so they just swipe in. We do chat and video support. We do keep it white labeled, and we typically answer as Poynt support unless your team has white labeled support set up with us, which we can always talk about if needed. And then let's go to the next one. Sorry, try to keep up these slides. Give me 1 second. Somebody just went on hold. Okay. Sorry, we just had a little noise come in. All right, so Boomtown booth 72 at Southeast Acquirers Show will also be at ETA. Feel free to reach out if you're not there, but if you are there, we'll be I'll be speaking about the Poynt program. I know that Poynt will also be there. Doug Berman, who's been our contact, will be there at a booth. He'll have it at SEAA and also ETA. So feel free to come by and see either of us. Again, I'll be at the Boomtown booth, and then Tyler at our booth will be talking about the services over on the left, which obviously a lot of payment organizations and different ISOs banks utilize this for. All right, give me one moment. And then, sorry guys, my connection's a little slow today. Also, there's the rebate going on at TPG Phoenix Group. With that, you have the ability to buy the Poynt 5. You can get the sleeve for the extended battery, and then you can also get the sleeve which has the printer on it, because the Poynt 5 does not have a printer. There is a rebate available at basically TPG. Feel free to reach out to them, and then they'll be able to give you more information on all of that. All right, so Poynt updates. So let's talk about some of the updates that are going on, and what's been in the native software. And there is the store forward offline payments. So this is really exciting for our merchants. Basically, in the Poynt channel, we're going to enable offline payments soon. It is in pilot already, and I'll tell you a little bit about how that pilot program works. But the idea is that your merchant never misses a payment, right? If they're offline, they're able to make a payment, and they're able to, be able to take that payment, whether or not, again, they're connected to the internet or they're connected to a 3G. All of that is available now with the Poynt offline mode. And so, one of the things that this really helps with the merchant is they never lose a transaction. They're always taking payments. They're never offline. That's going to be a huge selling point going forward as you're selling to new merchants and, of course, trying to migrate merchants off other solutions. But basically, you can enable the offline feature. You can customize the offline depending on the preferences on, number of transactions and maybe the maximum, of how much you can do a transaction of offline. And then when you're connected back to the internet, it will push the payments off. Basically, it will push the payments once you're connected. And so what I've done here is kind of showed you some images of what that looks like on the merchant side. And so basically, it's pretty straightforward. When your terminal's offline, you'll see the notification at the top left, terminal offline, transaction stored. When you go to your transactions, you'll see 3 pending offline transactions. Those will stay there. And when you push view details, you'll see the transactions. Those will stay there until you're back online. Of course, you can go in the transactions tab on the terminal or Poynt.net. And what that's going to do is basically, of course, just let you know whether or not the transactions went through. And so this is in pilot right now, so feel free to reach out to pointsales@goboomtown.com if any of your merchants need it right away. We typically like to pilot products first. I understand there's sometimes a risk there, but we want to make sure that everything's perfect before we send it off to hundreds and thousands of terminals without, getting an idea of what's been working or what merchants maybe just want to provide feedback at first, right? That's also super helpful for our team to get that feedback. And feel free to chat if the screen aren't changing. I think the screen is changing, but someone said that it's still stuck. Is everyone else seeing that? Right now, you should see the OpConnect screen. Feel free to chat in if you do not see the OpConnect screen. And I'm going to unmute Stefan, our guest today, and he's from OpConnect. Hey, Stefan, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome, Stefan. Thanks for.
Okay, there we go. I see the OpConnect screen now. I was actually just going to say it's not there, but.
Okay, good deal. And yeah, sorry guys, we're having some technical issues with the network today, so it might go a little slow, might be bouncy. Either way, I'll make sure that you'll get the deck after this. But Stefan, yeah, feel free to introduce yourself, and thanks for joining today.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Joey, for having me on the call, and I appreciate all the listeners on the call as well, your guys' time. So I'm with OpConnect. Myself, I actually come from the payment space. So I was in payments for about 14 years. Have sold a pretty decent sized portfolio in the past. So my heart kind of still lies in the payments industry. Part of the reason I'm at OpConnect is actually it's a solution I used when I was in the field. So that's just kind of a little bit of history of myself. OpConnect, what we do, we provide cellular connectivity. So we actually use multiple cellular networks like AT&T, Verizon, Sprint. Hopefully sometime in the near future we'll actually have T-Mobile available, but we service all across North America. So, US, Canada, Mexico. We could actually provide SIMs. In addition to that, we also have our fully managed router solutions that we won't talk a lot about on this call today. This is more pertaining to the SIMs for the Poynt devices and other wireless equipment, obviously, that would take a SIM, but specifically Poynt terminals. We are an IoT company. We do offer, fully managed solution. We have 24/7, 365 US-based support, which is amazing. So one great thing about OpConnect is really pride ourselves on client service experience. We have a great team in our support center that can help you with, be that in between you and your merchants of troubleshooting any kind of connectivity problems. OpConnect, we connect a lot of different types of equipment from point of sale to ATMs, to micro markets, digital signage, monitoring equipment in the petroleum industry. So we're really connecting a whole plethora of different industries and have a very heavy emphasis in the payment space currently, especially with myself on board. If we can go to the next slide there, Joey, that way we can kind of jump into a couple of things
should be
here.
It should be on value proposition. And sorry if there's a delay there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. Okay. Well, as you can see, for those that can see, or if anybody can see that value prop there. So, like I mentioned, we have, the SIM card connection plans. We also have our managed router solutions, which you can see there under hardware and device activation. So we do everything. So that's the great thing about us is, we're a full solution provider. We provide the hardware, the software, the platform, everything regarding the connectivity. So for instance, on the SIM card plans, we do offer a dashboard, which we call Summit here. That's actually does have API integration that you can integrate into your existing CRM system or whatever you use to have visibility of all your connected devices in the field. Again, we have the 24/7 support. We do have device level monitoring when you're using one of our managed router solutions. One of our most popular ones is that silver one you see. It's called the Neo. It's actually about the size of a pack of Orbit's gum. So really small form factor. It directly connects via IP, and I could get anybody more information on those later on if needed. We could go ahead and switch to the next slide there, Joey.
Yep.
Okay.
And feel free to keep talking, yes.
Absolutely. With our SIM card program, what we have done, like I mentioned, I come from the payment space, so I'm very familiar with what is offered as far as, wireless connectivity in the field, for multiple processors. So we've kind of really made it simplified everything and actually created an opportunity for agents, ISOs, MSPs to actually have a little more control on the connectivity piece, and in addition, potentially add an additional revenue stream, which is a win for the payments industry and payment professionals. So we've really simplified things, have just one low flat monthly rate. We'll go over that on the next slide. We don't charge you any kind of activation fee. So right now, if you get your card from your ISO, you may be paying, or charging your merchant that $25 or $35 activation fee. We don't have that. We also do not charge any transaction fees or costs to you. So you're not paying that additional, 3 to 5 cents for the transaction cost. In addition, if you need support and assistance provisioning the terminals or getting them configured, our team's here to assist with that. It's no charge as well. So it's very simple and straightforward and creates a great opportunity for you. Down at the bottom here, this actually just shows the different SIM card sizes available. These are pretty universal. This is very important just because the type of equipment you're deploying, like on the Poynt terminals specifically, some of them do take the middle SIM, which is a micro SIM, and some other ones actually, I think it's the newer version, I think the 0.5 if I'm not mistaken, does take the nano SIM. So that's really important just because, I don't want you to call me us and order, a handful of SIMs or even just one SIM and we send you the wrong one. Definitely want to know exactly what you need. We'll deploy out, an activated SIM to you that you just pop in. We can help you provision that and get you live and running for your merchants. If you want to go ahead and switch to the next slide, we'll go over the pricing.
Yep, switching.
Okay, perfect. So our pricing, like I said, I kind of touched on this earlier. So if you can see this, basically we charge $7 per SIM. So that's just to purchase the SIM. That's really the only upfront cost you have. And then just $10 a month, which is pretty amazing. Like I mentioned earlier, normally these are being resold at, $19.99 to $24.99 a month. So that gives you, an opportunity to make anywhere from, $10 to $14.99 a month in revenue, which is great. Gives you some opportunity there. in addition to that, like I said, you don't have any kind of activation fees or terminal configuration fees. We don't require any kind of contract with our service either. So this is perfect solution if you have merchants that, run the fireworks stands or Christmas tree stands or, whatever they're doing, those seasonal type merchants. It'll work in any scenario, or, specifically like, year-round merchants that just have a need for pay at the table, whatever it might be. So we've helped out a lot of ISOs and MSPs with just different scenarios, whether they're using our SIM cards or they're using our managed router solutions, where we could facilitate a lot of that stuff, like pay at the table, different things like that. So essentially, we're a fully managed solution provider, and would love to be, your guys' connectivity partner and help you create opportunities for yourselves. Joey's going to share my contact information if anybody does have questions. I don't know if any questions have come in yet, Joey, that anyone has.
Yeah, I've been holding
mind.
off on a few questions, but definitely happy to go through some of the questions. And again, I did put his contact information. Feel free to reach out to me too. I can make a direct connection. And then again, we'll send out this deck. So, we already have you in our sales hub, I believe, as well. So we'll make sure that your contact information is in there. For the group, one of the big things, always the big question for this is, is there a rev share? And yes, so with the way that works, and Stefan, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but you always build a partner, the partner builds the merchant. So they have the ability to obviously mark up the SIM cards, mark up the monthly fee. And obviously it's a great way for you to make more revenue in the Poynt program, especially for merchants who need a 3G network.
Yep, absolutely. So we do that. There are some other opportunities, especially if they're large quantity opportunities, that we could definitely discuss, other scenarios. But generally speaking, essentially this would be your buy rate, and then you could go ahead and turn around and bill the merchant whatever you'd like. But we are open to, discussions on other opportunities, obviously if they're quantity permitted. But yeah, so I mean it's pretty simple and straightforward.
And what's the process to get started? If I'm an agent, if I'm an ISO bank, how do I get started with your team?
So the process is actually really simple to get going. Like I mentioned, it's just a month-to-month agreement. So the process just is fill out an agreement, really simple: business name, address, phone number, contact person. We do get billing information up front. We prefer billing on either ACH or credit card, depending on what works best for the merchant or the partner. And that's really it. So it's really simple. We do have some requirements regarding if you want to purchase SIMs and actually activate and deactivate them. We do kind of have a guideline of, we would like you to purchase them in batches of 25 if you want us to ship them to you non-active and billing, and you obviously determine the time you want those activated. We could absolutely do that. Activate and deactivate, that's not a problem whatsoever. Really right now, a really big thing is, with the 3G network. So we're one of the very few companies that could actually still provide 3G SIM cards at the time. I mean, the 3G network is being sunsetted this year, so that's definitely a hot topic right now. So I mean, and we don't have like unlimited quantity either. So, but definitely we could still do them as of now. It's not a problem. We've been connecting a lot of Poynt terminals, and it's just a simple agreement, signed by yourself or the merchant, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, I think the message I have for a lot of the groups is you should always be trying to, one, make more money somewhere, and also make your lives easier, right? And if you can do those two things, you're on the right track. And I think that make more money by getting involved with the OpConnect program, finding it so when your 3G merchants have that question, how do I get a 3G SIM card? You now have a really easy answer, right? Oh, here's the exact cost. You can build it into your pricing sheet, and you have a great service behind it. That's going to be a huge winner for our channel, and I'm really excited to have the OpConnect team available to help us with this, because before this, I've just been telling resellers, tell your merchant to go to AT&T and get a micro SIM card, and who hell, we have no idea what that pricing looks like, and it's not very, comfortable to tell somebody to go to a third party to get pricing when, especially when we're selling them the product. So this is great, and excited that we can actually add this to our, our sales sheet.
Yeah, definitely. And in my opinion, and the way merchant services is nowadays, I mean, it's been this way for a long time. Even when I was active in the industry, I mean, we're always trying to find a way to differentiate ourselves from the other guy coming in with a slick line. And, the more products and solutions you could offer your merchants, the more value. It keeps them with you longer. And, especially, no matter what you do, on this front, whether you're marking it up, making money off of it, or you're not, I mean, you're just completely adding value, and it just gives them another reason to not, switch to the next guy. So this really empowers you. Even with our managed router solutions for myself, I started placing those even with just point of sale systems or standalone terminals, and it relieved about 90% of the comm errors my merchants ever got. And that's one thing, when I mentioned to agents like, hey, you get calls about comm errors quite a bit. Yeah. Well, guess what? We could fix that. And I mean, that's a huge relief for you as an agent. You can focus on getting new business rather than dealing with technical support issues. Just because regular ISP connections, they go down all the time. The cellular network is actually a lot more stable than, the regular ISPs. Barely goes down. I mean, when I'm, unless I go somewhere really remote. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, on top of that, one question I got is, how long will a 3G network be around? I'm sure you guys will migrate to 4G as needed, but a lot of the terminals right now are at 3G. Do you know kind of a timeline for 3G?
Yeah, so that's a big benefit that OpConnect has. So we actually have 3G is set to sunset. I think it's August of this year, or it might even be. I'd have to double check that. I believe it's either July or August of this year. We have an extension just because of our relationship. I mean, we have so many connections out there with multiple carriers. On all of them, we actually have an extension on 3G till 2022. So that's another benefit that we can offer that I don't think I mentioned even on our last call, is that if you have a bunch of 3G connected equipment in the field, you could actually migrate that over to us, and we could extend the life of all that equipment by a few years. So you don't have to go and scramble and change all that. Right now, it'll kind of, buy you some time, especially for larger groups. That's a huge value add. But on our end, to answer the question, 2022. So we've got a few years extra.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Stephen. This has been great. I think that's it for questions. And again, I actually, if you go to the questions tabs, everyone, I put his email in there, just you have it. Stephen.tapia@opconnect.com. Feel free to reach out to me if you need. And we'd love to directly connect. But yeah, thanks so much for your time today. Really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And so we're going to move on to the guests we were supposed to have on today as well, but again, they're a little behind on production. They want to get some marketing materials. I do have the contact for Matt here, but basically they make holders for different types of payment terminals, and I did get a blueprint. And again, apologize if the slides are behind, but I'm going to kind of keep moving forward. I did get a blueprint of, basically what these holders are going to look like. It's really good because some merchants are timid about buying mobile terminals, afraid someone's going to take them. So they have these kind of, these holsters that will keep them on the table, or these kind of, spinning machines where basically you can have them kind of facing the merchant, and you can, angle it different ways that the merchant has the ability to, feel a little bit more protected, and that when they buy a $500, $600 device, it's not just laying there out on the table. One thing I wanted to add today was about the reduced processing fees. It's an app. It's in our sales hub. It is the surcharge application. And I think what happened was after, there's been a lot of buzz about cash discount and all the different things that are changing. But as cash discount, some groups are getting rid of it. Some groups still have it. The surcharge application is available today on Poynt. So you can start, moving merchants to surcharge if you're not comfortable with cash discount. I do have how it works right here. Of course, we don't have to read through this together, but I did take some screenshots. And what that looks like is you download the application, you set the fee. It's going to have a dashboard for you on how much you've earned with the convenience fee. It's going to have all the different orders. It really is really easy to go through and set a management fee. Managed convenience fee by Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. You can actually set it per brand. I don't know it's kind of a gray area if you can do surcharge in certain states and PIN debit, or debit card. So feel free to kind of do some research on whether or not it's available in the states you're selling to. But I do know a lot of the major states are making it available. And then if you look on the right, I have the convenience fee, kind of a demo of what the receipt looks like, obviously, which is really important from a compliance standpoint. But that is also there and available for your team. So if you want to get started, feel free to reach out to the My BMR team. Great to work with. Supported My BMR is going to hit a big group of them. But they're awesome, and I'd love to get more people in touch with them, especially as groups are doing surcharge. And then give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can actually. They are on here. I'm gonna see if I can unmute to talk a little bit more about PIN debit and. Are you there?
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you today? Yeah. So I'd love to talk a little bit more about PIN debit and kind of like, is that available on surcharge, and maybe talk about some of the regions that are surcharge is not available in.
Okay. You were speaking briefly about regulations that are limited in certain states of if you can surcharge or not. The app will basically recognize which state you're in, and on apps or in states that you're not allowed to surcharge, it'll limit it. There are 10 states and one territory of Puerto Rico which you're not allowed to surcharge in. California, Colorado, Connecticut. We can give you the list, or whoever has a question, we can go over and do a training with them on a one-on-one basis. Basically, in those states, the app will recognize whether you're in that state and will not allow to surcharge. Now, when you do surcharge, you need to surcharge the card brands at the same rate. So Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover would obviously like to have the surcharging done unilaterally at the same rate to each one. Now, there is an option there that allows you to do it differently, and that's for a different purpose. And the question about credit or debit, credit, the ability to surcharge is on credit only, not on debit. The maximum amount allowed to surcharge is usually about 4%. That's what the card brands allow for. And the surcharging process is pretty much enabled through the app. So once somebody signs up for the app, they will get instructions on how to go about completing paperwork for Visa and MasterCard and Discover, notifying them that they will surcharge. They have to allow a grace period in order for them to get that application in. They'll also have to turn in an application with the processor, which all this paperwork will be included once they sign up for the app. So it allows you to pretty much cover a lot of the different requirements that surcharging has, out there. And we're trying to be as thorough as possible. And obviously, once you've done all those requirements, you can surcharge a customer, let's say on a $25,000 a month average sales volume. They can save about $1,000 a month. So on an annual basis, we're talking about savings of $12,000, which is a good amount of money on credit card processing. So walking into a merchant right now and telling them, listen, I can save you a good amount of money is no longer a fight about 10 or 15 basis points, but it's about, I can save you here about 10 or 15 or 20, depending on the volume, I can save you quite a bit of money. And the app is available through Poynt. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Quick question. When you download the app, does it work with the existing payment fragment? Or are you using a separate application now for the terminal or register?
No, it's working with the existing payment platform.
Okay. Okay, that's great. And then I have a question for you. Can you change the name of the fee as it appears on the receipt? Right now, it says convenience fee. Is there any legality around that? Is there certain reasons that it's called that? Would love to learn more about.
There's certain fees that are out there and names of fees, but these are the fees that Visa and MasterCard are describing it at. There are other ones that are calling it a surcharge fee, but they do not want it to be called a surcharge fee. They want it to be called a convenience fee because they don't want to have the client feel that they're getting surcharged for paying for using a card. or penalized for using a card.
Got it. Makes sense. And will the surcharge, will apply, or can you apply a surcharge to signature debit and prepaid cards?
It's going to apply to credit cards, and it's going to apply to if signature debit is entered as a credit without the debit, without the PIN, so it's going to default, I imagine, to credit, and therefore it'll be charged as credit.
Okay, makes sense. So basically, it applies to credit cards and it will apply to a signature debit if entered as credit and not PIN.
Right.
Okay, great. So again, for the audience, it is built into the payment fragment. So you just use the regular terminal and register application once you download the app, set the fees. Again, it sounds like you can only set up to 4%. It does say convenience fee on the receipt. But anything else you want to share with the group, or anything else that's kind of something to highlight?
I think the biggest highlight is basically that they're able to recoup the majority of their fees. And once they have something like that, a lot of merchants are much more open to hear that they're able to do that with a surcharge app.
What's the cost of the application? I know that the merchant has to pay for it over their credit card on the app market, but what does that cost?
It's $19.95 a month.
Okay, $19.95 a month for the surcharge application. I did put your contact information support at mybmr.com. I also put the link that you guys built, which was super helpful for our resellers. So if they want to learn more, they can use that link and basically go there. But again, so it's $19.95 to use the application. Is that correct? I was going to put that in the writing here for everybody.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and that's monthly, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, feel free to reach out to their team if you want to learn more. They're great to work with, and really excited that we have that option now, especially with all the changes going on. And as we're going to move on real quickly, I have Damon Luke, who will be on our webinar next month. He is now the CEO of CashDiscount.com. Many of you have seen the Cash Discount LLC application on the Poynt terminal. I wanted to provide his contact information. He's been very helpful. He's very involved. So as merchants are utilizing Cash Discount application, and if your team's still going down that road, he's also a great consultant in that world. I'm not. So as Cash Discount's kind of evolving, and I know there's more regulations and rules coming out, he's great to work with. He actually has a lead generation program, which is pretty neat. Because he owns CashDiscount.com, he gets a lot of qualified leads. So he basically has a program where you can pay him for qualified leads. So feel free to reach out about that. But basically, he's going to be a great resource as we learn more. Excited to have him on here next month and tell us a little bit more about the Cash Discount application in detail, how it's been working. It is its own separate application, so it's kind of a set and forget. You just basically set the fee in the Cash Discount app, and then what happens is you use the Cash Discount app as the register, and so then you don't have to go and apply Cash Discount every time. You can unapply it at the time of sale, but that is all available. That is all available for your merchants today. It's $9.95 a month, and then let us know if we can be helpful. The experience is pretty straightforward. They download the application. Again, they use the Cash Discount application as the register app as they're cashing out, or they're doing credit cards. You can apply the Cash Discount then, or unapply it. It's all pretty straightforward, and we've had a lot of success with this one. A lot of success with groups that are still utilizing Cash Discount. All right, guys, thanks for everybody's time today. If you need help, point sales at goboomtown.com. If your merchant is if you feel like you're not getting what you want as a reseller program, success at goboomtown.com. And at any time your merchant is actually, if you have a live merchant, they can text help to 22666 or use the Connect application. Again, we'll get a webinar, the recording, the deck, everything will go out to the group. We'll make sure to email that by maybe end of week or early next week. It'll be in our sales hub. We'll probably have the recording from this morning session go up there just because it has better connectivity. But, thanks everybody for joining, and we'll be talking soon.